Hi, my name is Annie. I think today I'm going to be talking about intercultural communications today. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about Greet Hoffman's 6D model to national cultural. So the first one I want to talk about is collectivism versus individualism. A collective society is all about society working together towards a general goal, while an individual society is all about the individual and it's that you do you mindset. America is very much an individualistic society. For example, if you want to be a doctor, you go to school because you want to be a doctor, whether it be for the money or because you want to help people or because that's what your parents did. It's you doing it because you want to. On the other hand, we have China. China is a very collectivist society. So you go to school to become a doctor because that's what society wants you to do. That's how society is going to get better, by you becoming a doctor. The next one I want to talk about is long-term orientation versus short-term orientation. So long-term orientation is all about the future, while short-term orientation is about the present. It's about the now. America is considered a very short-term oriented society. We want things and we want them now. We work for the things that we want. We work to get that car and we're going to get it now, and that's the way things are going to be. However, South Korea, for example, is very much a long-term oriented society. They do things for the future, they save money for the future, and they do things to help their future generations. It's mostly all about the future. It's not about what's going to benefit them right now. It's what's going to benefit them and their future generations in the future. The next one is indulgence versus restraint. So indulgence is what are your desires, what makes you happy. While restraint is what's going to be respectable, what does society want me to do. America is very indulgent, while a place like Russia is very restrained. So in America, we eat because we want to eat. We shop because we like new clothes. We smile because we're happy. While in Russia, you don't smile because you're happy. When I was originally going to teach English abroad, I was supposed to go to Russia. And the first thing they told us is, you don't smile in Russia. And which seems really strange, like you can't smile because you're happy. Like you just can't do it. Because they find that suspicious because they're such a restrained society that smiling isn't something that they do. So that's a very big difference between that's an indulgent society versus a restrained society. In Russia, you don't smile when you're happy on the streets or in the subway. While in America, it's very common for someone to smile at you just while they're passing by. The next one I'm going to talk about is power distance, low versus high. So a low power distance society is about equality. It's about everyone's equal, everyone's going to help with choosing who's in charge. While a high power distance society is about hierarchy and authority and your status. America is a low power distance society. And although in the past it has not seemed like that, and we haven't necessarily cared about equality at times, that is the goal of America, is to have that equality. And voting is a huge part of it. If you're 18 years or older, and if you're a legal citizen, then you get to vote. You get to choose who's going to be in charge. While in Russia, it's about that. Russia, it's a very high power distance society. It's about your status, and if you have a CEO of a company, it's the CEO is much better than the beginning starting worker. Their status is big and they have more authority, they're just better. And here we can see on the graphs, we can see I picked 4 countries to compare this from, and I got this from a website that talked about Hospe's ideas and his things. And so this is comparison of different countries. And as you can see, Canada and the United States are very similar on the 6 models, while China and Russia are also very similar on the 6 models. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is a high context society. So America is a really low context society, so I'm going to talk about the high context society in a change. So when I was living in Lithuania, they are considered a very high context society. And there's many differences in the culture. There's also lots of similarities, but there's lots of differences too. So to start with, I'm going to talk about association. So people are very dense. It's very hard to build relationships, but once you build those relationships, you have them for a lifetime. It's not these quick and easy coming and going relationships. The next thing is communication. It's a lot of reading between the lines. With parents or with students or our manager, basically, it was very much like if a parent didn't like something, instead of just saying, don't do this thing in class, parents don't like when you do this, or the students don't like when you do this, it'd be like, what if you did something else and then you maybe didn't do, like, it wasn't just a straightforward answer. It was like all this information you had to just take out of that. They don't like when I do this. Interaction. So interaction, a lot of nonverbal elements are involved in that. It's very much on your facials, and it's not so much in your words. It's more of like gestures and their tone of voice and things like that. It's very nonverbal. The next thing is temporality. So things did not change there. Lithuania is a very old country, and rather than in America where things are constantly changing, there's no point in changing. Things were good the way they are. Why change them? Why did it need to be changed? And that was their perspective on it. And if they worked, why did it need to be changed? And the last thing was learning. So this was a big thing that I noticed being a teacher, is the students did way better in group projects than individual projects, because as they told me, they're used to doing group projects. They were used to working all together rather than individual. They weren't used to that individual thing. And as reading, that's something I learned, that high context societies are very more the group projects. And living in both societies, I've learned to appreciate different things about both of them, and I think they both had their benefits. And that is all I'm going to talk about today. Here are my works cited, and thank you so much for listening.